welcome to One Girl in All the World, the Buffy the Vampire Slayer rewatch podcast where we recap each episode in order and discuss. I'm Ashley, Buffy super fan.
Kimmy, Buffy newbie.
You can find us on all major podcast apps, YouTube and Instagram with new episodes on Tuesdays. Okay, we are back, and we are barreling towards the end of season 4. We only have 3 episodes left.
Yeah. Yeah,
Very
I don't
exciting.
know what's going to happen.
So, we're talking today about the Yoko factor, which is a very interesting name because you can infer a lot from this title.
Yoko Ono.
Yoko Ono and the Beatles, breaking up the Beatles, so yeah. Someone's going to cause some issues.
I mean, there was an interesting quote. Oh, I don't think it's from this episode. I think it's from the next episode. But it was just basically how you can only stir stuff up if it's ready to be stirred, though.
Stirrable? There was stuff to be stirrable.
Stirrable stuff. So,
yeah.
I mean,
yeah, usually we're just doing one episode at a time, but we are doing a double header today.
yes.
We're not hiding anything because we're going to be wearing probably the same exact clothes. Everything's going to be exactly the same the next
Everyone
episode.
look the same.
Yeah,
Yep.
so usually Kimmy doesn't know what's going to happen in the next episode, but she does this time. So,
Spoiler alert.
spoiler alert.
I know.
Yeah.
But I don't know what's going to happen in the last episode. I'm like, what's going to happen?
Yeah, because it is unique to season 4 that the season's not over, but
Everything seems all wrapped up in a nice,
Things
tidy little
can't-
bunch. I'm like,
can't-
what?
can be
No.
wrapped up.
So
Yeah,
I'm
that's
like,
weird.
shit's going to hit the fan for sure then.
I don't know. All right, anyway, we
we're
won't
gonna be
get
nice.
we're
Yeah,
getting
okay.
ahead of ourselves.
Okay.
All right, so The Yoko Factor originally aired May 9th, 2000, written by Doug Petrie and directed by David Grossman. And the synopsis is, Buffy is even more certain of her love for Riley when Angel's surprise visit to Sunnydale brings Angel and Riley to blows. Meanwhile, Spike joins forces with Adam and devises a plan to tear the Slayer apart from her gang, leaving her wide open for her enemy's attack.
I will say after this episode, I have a lot less love for Angel.
Interesting, yeah.
Bye, Angel.
Bye. I don't know why they keep saying Spike and joins forces with Adam. He's been joining forces for episodes now. They're officially on the same team. So, I mean, they don't really have any kind of. Spike has a very specific want, and he's like, "That's the only person that can do that for me." So
yeah, because Spike doesn't
Means to
really
an
have.
end.
He doesn't tie ties with anybody. He's just whatever is more convenient for him at the time.
yeah, Adam is a means to an end for him.
Yeah.
If he couldn't get the chip out, I don't think he'd be bothered.
No.
So
No,
yeah.
definitely not.
All right, so we start the Yoko Factor in the initiative. And McNamara is reporting to the government. So I think this is the first time.
Yeah, it is.
that we
I just
kinda
wrote
okay.
the Colonel guy's talking to some dude, question mark.
Yeah, there's on a video
And
conference.
they're talking about the incident with Ben.
Yeah, so basically you get the impression that he's reporting to his higher ups, in the government. And they're talking about how they lost Riley, he left.
But the government wants him back?
They want him back, yeah.
It's interesting.
And they also mentioned that's important that they are at capacity with demons. They're catching a lot of demons and they're filling up the initiative with demons.
Yeah, which is interesting.
Yeah, but they really want Riley back. Okay, she was their golden child of this whole project.
Thing. Yeah,
Yeah,
initiative project.
Yeah, so they want Riley back, and they basically think they can do it. So we're in Adam's cave, and Spike is saying that Buffy, as we talked about before, tends to win. She will win. She
kills everything.
she
kills
can
everyone.
win, and Adam is not scared of her. He kind of let her try, bring it on. He's not scared. Spike is trying to warn her, don't underestimate her.
Yeah.
Spike's trying to warn him, don't underestimate her. And he's kind of not scared. Don't worry about it. And so we go to the credits. We come back, and Adam and Spike are still talking. And Adam's kind of figuring out, okay, Spike, you killed 2 Slayers, but you haven't been able to kill Buffy yet. What's going on
with
here?
that?
And Spike is a little affronted that he's kind of saying this, why haven't you been able to kill her? He's like, it's bad luck. I just had really bad luck.
Stinking, rotting luck.
Yeah.
And this stupid ship in my head.
Yeah, of course, that doesn't help. Even though that took he said 2 seasons to kill her, and then he obviously couldn't in this 4th season, some of the 4th season. And then he was had that alliance with her, so yeah. And Adam gives Spike this whole speech about how he's going to make him whole again. He can make him like savage again, and he's gonna do all this by like getting the chip out. So he's really motivated to help Adam.
Spike is like, you're like a scary Frankenstein-y Tony Robbins.
If he was like, you're exactly like Tony Robbins, because that's what Tony Robbins looks like. That was a great line. And then Spike also mentions that her friends are an issue because like they help her, and that's not typical, and that Spike's gonna separate her from her friends. And Adam says, well, how can you do that if you can't hurt them? And he's like, they're gonna do it themselves. So Spike's
He's just gonna get them out of the picture.
He's bringing his evil hands together, trying to he's figuring a plan.
Spike is clever. Tries to be, at least.
Yeah, he can be sometimes. I will say this about Spike, and I've said it before. He is extremely emotionally intelligent. He can see things other people, like in a situation that other people are ignoring or don't want to see or can't see. True.
He's very intuitive about things.
Yeah, because he knows exactly where all their weak spots are without really even hanging out with them.
Yeah.
He knows what buttons to push with the gang. Yeah. So in Buffy's dorm, Buffy comes home from LA, and we probably should. I forgot to mention this at the beginning, but she kind of comes home from LA, seeing Angel, and she's sad. She kind of lays on her bed.
Willow's not there.
And Willow's not there. So there is important. I filled you in because you were like, I don't get it. I was like,
I watched the whole episode, and then I'm like, Ashley, what the heck?
Well, it was in the previously on.
Was it?
It said previously on Buffy and Angel.
But it didn't really. I think
it didn't. But
no,
it gave like the very loose cliff notes. So here, you're like, what? What's going on here? So a little bit sidetracked to Angel. Buffy found out that Faith, she riding that rail down to LA, and she like runs into Angel, and Angel is again trying to rehabilitate her, which we saw in season 3 that he tried, but it was all of that was just like nobody was really trying to do anything.
Ruse.
It was a ruse. And this time he really believes that she wants to change. She definitely had an experience being Buffy. And he wants to help her, like, rehabilitate. Buffy finds out that she's down there, goes down there, and is kind of shocked that Angel is kind of protecting her. And Buffy, of course, wants to haul her out of there.
That must feel like a betrayal. Yeah,
Buffy and Angel get into a huge fight, and they punch each other.
That's crazy.
And Angel, I don't think, has ever hit Buffy when he wasn't Angelus, if I can remember. So she's pretty stunned by that, even though she had just punched him. And then she ends up telling Angel that she has somebody in her life that she loves now, and Angel doesn't want to hear that. They get into a big fight, and she leaves. So she's coming back off of that, like, very upset.
That's a lot, yeah.
Yeah, so she comes back, and she is very sad. So at the ruined high school, Xander brings Riley some clothes, because he's just in his military attire. And some really
Xander.
Ugly clothes.
Not only does he give him ugly clothes, but he's just like, I felt like he intentionally tried to stir shit up there.
I don't know. He says, how much did Buffy tell you? And Riley said everything. Did you think that Buffy didn't tell him about the sex?
No, I had assumed she had told him everything.
Yeah, I think Xander's the same. Like, okay, I think Xander does think that that's a big detail to leave out.
Yes, it is, yeah. And I'm not sure why she left it. Like,
I don't know.
It's not like
she didn't know if she thought it was relevant.
He knew that she wasn't a virgin, so it's not like...
Yeah, I don't know.
Anyway.
She's, yeah. Maybe because with Parker, I mean, there were feelings, but they weren't like, she wasn't in love with Parker. But there were like a lot of feelings involved with Angel and with Riley, so maybe she felt more sensitive to it, like telling him that. But regardless, she didn't tell him.
Nope.
And so they start talking about Angel, like, is Buffy back from LA yet? And
Xander's all talking about one moment of happiness.
Yeah, that curse.
Buffy makes him happy. So I was like, oh god.
Yeah, so it does make some happiness. It ain't creme brulee. And then, to be fair, Riley puts 2 and 2 together. Xander doesn't actually tell him.
Yes,
but then he's like, oops. Buffy didn't tell you that part, did she?
No.
Like, no.
No.
So Xander has stepped in it. I think, honestly, very...
very Xander-like, to be honest.
Yeah, very, like, unintentionally, I think.
Okay, you're probably right.
And I do like... It is interesting that we hear Riley say, well, it's not him, it's the curse that you hate, or whatever. So he's, like, being very understanding of Buffy being in a relationship with a vampire who had a soul, but then went bad. It's like, well, Angel as with a soul is okay. So it's interesting. He's made a leap there.
Yeah, I guess that's true.
From where he came from. So now Riley is very worried that Buffy has run off to LA to see her ex.
Understandably.
And what could happen? And what could
He's
happen?
worried about, yeah, exactly.
What could happen between
sex
them?
once, they could have sex again.
Yeah, and then everything can go pooey. So at Giles, I love this scene.
So he's singing it again, and this is his actual voice.
Yes.
Okay, wow, he is actually a really good singer.
He is a good singer.
Okay.
I will just go to this episode and watch this scene because I think it's so funny. Because I love when Giles gets scared. So it's a great Giles scare. We haven't had one of those in a while. But yeah, he's playing his guitar, singing, and all of a sudden he's like, ah! And it's like Spike's is standing in his apartment. And I love what he says, for being Watcher in your title, you once in a while should glance at the front door or something like that, which is so funny. So Spike has come over one, to get some blood that he left in the refrigerator.
2, to stir shit up.
Yeah. So he tells Giles, is Buffy around? And Giles says, no, but you can, what do you want? You can tell me. And Spike says he has kind of intel at the Initiative that there are some, important files and disks that probably have schematics and everything and information about Adam.
Maggie Walsh's stuff.
Yeah,
maybe?
and Buffy probably wants them, and I'm willing to get them if I am being paid and protected and not slain in any way. I will do this.
Quite a lot, actually.
Yeah, but he knows that, what they need and how bad they need it, so he's willing to ask for a lot. And, cash. Anybody said that? He wants cash. And so Giles is like, yeah, no problem. He says, this isn't really with you. Buffy's the boss, essentially. Mm-hmm. She didn't... Giles says, I'm her watcher. He's like, yeah, no, past tense, you're her watcher. She didn't even listen to you when you were her watcher. And this is really ooh, you could feel... Giles feels that. I mean... Because he's been thinking it anyway. This is all stuff that they've already been thinking. Mm-hmm. And Spike can just, zero in on that insecurity. Yeah. And so Giles starts pouring himself a drink. And basically doesn't stop for the whole episode.
Yeah.
He starts pouring himself a drink, and Spike's like, okay, well, let me know. Let me know what Buffy wants to do if she wants to, do this deal. So in Tara's dorm, Willow and Tara got their cat.
Kitten. It's a kitten. It's so cute.
Kitty Fantastico is her name.
Okay. Is that what they decided on?
Well, that's what they call her. Okay. And we never hear another name again, so it's
Do we even see the cat again?
Kitty Fantastico. Honestly, I don't remember. So we'll find out together. I don't remember Kitty Fantastico's journey on this show, to be honest with you. Okay. So we'll find out. So they have this little cat together. They're kind of like, oh, it's ours. And so,
That's cute. That's all love is love, and we're happy and smoochy. I like it.
Yeah. So Tara is helping Willow pick... we're getting near the end of the school year, so she's helping her, pick her schedule for next year, and Willow doesn't know if she's going to be rooming with Buffy.
So they're talking about off-campus housing.
Yeah.
Yeah, together, potentially?
Yeah, and Tara says, I thought you'd just be rooming with Buffy again. And she's like, I don't actually know if we are. I haven't been around, she hasn't been around, it feels things have been different. Yeah. So she doesn't know if they're going to live together. And they're kind of drifting apart. And so Willow is definitely gonna ask Buffy about it. Yeah. And one thing I like in this episode specifically is that Tara is always trying to support Willow's friendships with her friends. Even when she thinks that maybe her friends are saying this or that about her and Willow's relationship, she's always like, you should talk to her. I'm sure she didn't mean, whatever. And then she's like, you should talk to Buffy. I like that. Tara's very supportive of her friendships. All right, so at Buffy, she's there and still very kind of spun by her visit with Angel. And Riley can't wait around anymore for Buffy to come find him. So he shows up at her dorm in Xander's clothes, which are awful. Yeah, they look like clown pants. At least he gave him a normal shirt, but yeah, clown pants. Buffy wants to know if it's okay if he's there, and Riley shows us that he tapped into the Initiative's frequency.
He has a walkie-talkie.
Yeah, and he's kind of rigged it so he can listen in on them. And obviously, if they're coming after him or if he knows where he is, he'll know before they get him. Mm-hmm. So he's kind of got his eye on them. She says Angel kind of upset her. He wants to know what happened. And she isn't really forthcoming with that. She's being very vague.
She needs to process things, but she should say that. She doesn't communicate that to him. She's not like, hey, I need some time right now. She's just like, I can't deal with this, and it's not really fair to him.
I mean, I think it wouldn't have had any different... Yes, I agree, but I think Riley still would have freaked.
Of course, yeah.
The same way he did. But she's like, we can talk about it later, but I need to get out and patrol for Adam. She just was a distraction. She can't deal with this Angel situation that just happened.
No.
And so he leaves. It's a little bit awkward. Because she's like, you don't have to leave. He's like, no, I'll leave. And she's like, okay. It's very awkward.
Yeah.
So they both don't know what to think about their situation. Buffy isn't thinking about her situation with Riley, but she's very distracted and disturbed by her interaction with Angel. So Riley leaves. At Spike's lair, Xander brings Spike an army uniform because it's been agreed to that he's going to go into the initiative and get these files.
Right.
And I love when he gives him a gun, and Spike's like, yes, I get a gun, and he points it at them, and his ship goes off. Even though
even point a gun.
The gun is fake.
It doesn't work. Yeah.
It doesn't work.
That's so funny.
It's ridiculous. A fake gun. And Spike takes the opportunity to say that, because, Spike and Xander are always at each other's throats. So he takes this chance to say, about you going into the army. Like, I heard you're going into the army. And,
I mean, wow.
Yeah, and Xander is floored. I'm just mad at him.
She doesn't want him to join the army, yeah.
Yeah, and Xander is, bowled over. He's like, what are you talking about? Like, who's saying that I'm joining the army? And he basically says that Willow and Buffy.
Because he has, basically dead-end jobs, and his life isn't going anywhere, so what else is he going to do except join the army?
Join the army.
Yeah.
And, again, Spike knows exactly where to hit, what button to push, because Xander goes off on this little rant about how he feels left behind. They all went on their college life, and he feels left behind.
Yeah. So
in the woods, Buffy and Forrest meet. Buffy's trying to go to this cave, and Forrest is also trying to check the cage out. So they have a tense interaction, and they're like, hey, let's just call a truce, kind of, and we'll just both independently investigate this cave. So they start walking in there, and they're very much griping at each other, and they start fighting about Riley.
Well, yeah, because Buffy messed his life up.
Yeah, he had a career, he had all these kind of stuff going for him until he met you, and now he's basically a deserter.
No, exactly.
Yeah.
But they don't get to talk for too long because Adam interrupts them.
Yeah, Adam shows up, and a fight ensues.
Buffy tries to fight him, and then Forrest tries to help Buffy, which I appreciate, but he ends up dying for it.
Yeah. The interesting thing first is that he hits him with the taser, and Adam absorbs the energy.
Yes, it's like he gets
powers him up.
Powerful.
Yeah, he gets more powerful. So that's not good, and it's important that we see that.
Yeah.
And so Adam is kicking Buffy's ass, and Forrest is also trying to fight him, and then his little skewer comes out of his arm, and he impales. He kills so many people. That thing. He impales Forrest, unfortunately. So Forrest gets impaled, and we assume dies.
Yep.
And Buffy is getting her ass kicked, and she runs, limps out of the cave, and then falls down an embankment and hits her head on a rock, and is unconscious. So that did not go well for Buffy. So at Giles, Spike is back from his mission, air quotes.
Man, does he ham this up? He's just wow, over the top, so dramatic.
Yeah.
I went through a lot to get this stuff for you guys.
I lost him. I lost him. They were chasing me. He didn't go anywhere.
No.
So he gives these discs to Willow and Tara, who get right to work on trying to decrypt them.
Although he notices right away that Tara's playing with Willow's hair.
Yeah. Immediately knows what's going on.
That's interesting. What's going on there? I'll take that little nugget of information away.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he immediately knows that there's something going on between them.
Yep.
And Giles is still drinking. He's getting more drunk and more drunk. As you said, Spike sees Tara playing with Willow's hair, and Spike basically pretends that he mistakenly overheard Buffy and Xander talking about how Willow's into this new Wicca thing with her and Tara. He wants them to think they were actually talking about them being a couple and Willow being gay. But he thought they were talking about them just doing Wicca thing and being witches.
He wants to pretend like he doesn't know what's going on.
He's if someone wants to be a witch, that's their business. I don't know what the big deal is. But, they said it's a phase and that you'll get over it. You were just being trendy. And, of course, Willow's very upset that this was overheard. And like I said before, Tara does say, you should talk to Buffy. I'm sure she didn't mean, anything. And yeah, so Willow is very upset that Spike's telling her all this stuff. So we have a quick scene at the Initiative where McNamara is talking to another soldier, and they're walking down the corridor with all the demons, like, going crazy in the cells.
Yeah, they're saying the hostiles are more hostile.
More hostile, and they don't have any more room. Like, they can't put them anymore. And McNamara says, like, basically they're animals, so just pack them in, like, 2, 3 to a cage. And if they rip themselves apart, if they rip each other apart, that's fine. And so they walk into, like, a control room, and one of the Initiative guys, you can overhear that one of the Initiative, like, groups or whatever is out doing something, and they're getting attacked. So you can hear it over the radio.
Yeah.
And we also know Riley's listening in, so we go quickly to the high school, and Riley hears that, and he is still compelled to, like, he still feels...
Yeah, he wants to help them.
Those are his friends. He has friends there involved, even if he doesn't believe in, like, the big project anymore. Mm-hmm. And so he rushes off to, like, help hit the Initiative guys when they're getting attacked. So we go into an alley, and we see, like, Initiative guys flying everywhere, and Riley's trying to figure out what's going on, and we see Angel. Angel's in the alley.
Yep. And so Riley's like, oh, did you lose your soul again?
Yeah. I like that. It's interesting because I was like, who knew who first? Because Angel says Riley Finn right away. And I'm like, how does he know that's Riley? I mean, how does he know that's Riley? Even if he knew that that guy, Buffy's boyfriend, was in the Initiative and everything, and maybe told him his name. Maybe he, like, did some recon on the way.
He must have had to, yeah.
Yeah. So if he knows that's Riley, and Riley doesn't know that that's Angel until he says we have a friend in common. He's like, oh, Angel, okay.
Yeah.
And he's like, oh, you're up here beating everybody up. So you obviously have lost your soul, which is not, obviously means that something happened with you and Buffy in LA. Yeah. And Angel doesn't say it didn't.
Yeah.
He says, that's between me and her. Like,
yeah,
oh God,
sucks. He's
boys.
The worst. Yeah, and he tries to act like he's above all of it, but he's not.
No, he's just jealous.
He acts like he's
jealous.
So more mature, like much more mature than them, but he's just really not.
I mean, yeah, he's only like 200 years old. Yeah, so Angel says he's going to see Buffy. Riley says that's not going to happen, and so they kind of have a standoff, and they start fighting in the alley.
Yeah, but then a car shows up, so they both kind of run off.
Yeah, Riley holds his own in the beginning, but yeah, Angel was never going to be.
Well, and then Angel vamps too, though.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah, he does. And Angel was going to kick his ass if they're not interrupted, let's be real. But, yeah, they both kind of run off when more Initiative troops come in, because neither of them wants to be seen by the Initiative again. So Buffy comes home again, another sad entrance, where she has, like, a pretty bad head wound.
Oh, yeah. Mm-hmm.
And she's just like, oh, man, like, this hurts. Like, the day could get any worse. Like, I'm having a bad week, And honestly, I, like, love her hair. This is, like, one of my favorite Buffy hairstyles.
Oh, that's funny, because I actually am not a fan of it.
I love it.
Oh.
Yeah, that's so funny. Season 5 hair is the best hair of the show, in my opinion.
I don't like Willow's hair either.
Yeah, whatever. I don't really care about Willow's.
Okay, you're just talking about Buffy. Okay,
I'm talking about Buffy's hair from the next 2 episodes.
It looks like a wig.
You think so?
Yeah.
I think it looks so cute. But yeah, I just love it. Anyway, so Buffy comes home. She's injured. She's hurt.
And Angel comes knocking.
And she has to invite him in.
Yeah.
Even though do you remember Sunday and her gang? They came into her room and took all of her stuff without an invite.
I forgot about that. Because it's like a common dorm.
Well, they got into the building. But the room, Angel had to be invited in. And I think also when Spike got invited in, Willow just said, come in. She wasn't, like, thinking about who was at the door.
Yeah.
So I don't know how, I mean, obviously something could have happened off camera that we didn't know about that got invited in. But Sunday and then went and took all of her stuff, we remember, from her dorm room.
Right.
She went home. So, what are you going to do? Interesting. Not everything adds up 100% of the time. All right, so Angel comes, and Buffy says, oh, what, did you have something else so mean to say to me that you just had to travel down here and, like, see the look on my face when you told me it?
Yep.
And Angel's hurt, too, she notices. And he says, I don't have a lot of time. And she's just, okay, something's going on. Something's going on here. And then Riley comes through the door with a gun.
The gun.
And Buffy's like, oh my, just when I thought things
She
could get
can't deal with
worse.
this. They're
She can't-
both jealous. They're both ridiculous. And she says, if I see one more display of testosterone poisoning, I will personally put you both in the hospital.
Yeah, she has to break them apart because they're about to go at it again together.
Ridiculous.
Yeah. And I like when, like, so she separates them and then Angel starts to say, he started. And she's like, oh, don't say anything. Just treat them like children.
Stop it.
Stop it. I don't want to hear anything else. So she says, okay, Riley, I need to talk to Angel. I like, oh, Riley's, I'm not leaving this room. So Buffy and Angel's go out in the hallway.
And then, and Angel smirks like,
yes.
Oh,
Angel's
God.
like, I'm going out of the hall with her. So Angel definitely gives a smirk. So in the hall, Buffy's like, what are you doing? They had this horrible fight in LA. You come
and
here.
Come to stir shit up.
And you're beating up my boyfriend. Like, what the hell are you doing? Yeah. And he was like, hey, well, I was trying to make things better.
Yeah, that's not working.
And that kind of breaks the tension where they just start laughing because that's, like, ridiculous. But they kind of both say sorry, where Angel says that he shouldn't have
apologize.
Yeah, he shouldn't have said the things that he said, and that he couldn't leave things like that between them. Mm-hmm. And Buffy says, you weren't totally wrong, what you said. We don't live in each other's worlds anymore, and I just came into yours and wanted things to be my way. So they kind of just let bygones be bygones. They, like, both apologize, and Angel says, next time I'll just apologize by phone. Yeah.
Yeah, that's fair.
So he's going to leave, and he just... Go ahead.
Go ahead. No, go ahead. Sorry.
No, before he leaves, he says, oh, and Riley, I don't like him.
Of course. Of course.
Like,
has to get that last word in.
He has to get the last word in.
It does, yeah. And it's interesting to see all the stuff that they went through and, like, all the emotions and feelings they had for each other, and then to just kind of like, okay, like, we don't live in each other's worlds anymore, and this is just the way it is now.
Yeah, it's been like a year.
Yeah.
And I do think it's interesting because Buffy does say, when I came to LA, you treat me like I was just an ex.
Yeah.
When we were more than that. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
So she does feel like...
Slighted.
Yeah. Like, just treat me like I'm just some random ex.
Mm-hmm. Not
Which
just
to her,
like
that wasn't the situation.
Well, she took his soul.
Yeah.
Not took it.
Well,
but
yeah.
But yeah, they obviously experienced something more than the average couple.
Yes, exactly. So she was like, how dare you treat me like that?
Yeah.
So he takes off.
Well, he's kind of a dick, and he always has been, so... I will admit to that.
Okay. All right. So he leaves. Back at Adam's lair, Spike kind of explains what the Yoko factor is.
He's been having fun. He's loved driving a wedge between all the Scoobies.
Oh, this is, like, his bread and butter. If he can't, like, beat up people and, like, kill them, like, just sowing doubt and, like, sowing all these bad things.
Diabolical
he's just like,
manipulation.
He's like, this is how I can be evil. And he says, okay, this is kind of interesting because there's a little bit of, like, a big Beatles fan. There's, like, some Beatles stuff here where, everyone blamed Yoko Ono for breaking up the Beatles, but there was already stuff in the group that was festering that really caused the breakup. And I like how Adam says, he's like, you know who the Beatles are, right? And Adam says, yes, I like Helter Skelter, which is basically, I could say, he's like, of course you do. So I think the reason why Spike said, of course you do, is because, Marilyn Manson took on, like, Helter Skelter, the name, because he was kind of calling that, like, what the race war was going to be. Because that's what the family was all about. Like, this race war was going to happen. Huh. And so, that's what Adam's kind of trying to do, is a race war. So there's, like, a very, like...
Interesting.
Yeah. So that this all ties in.
Okay. Yeah. I had no idea about any of that. Okay.
Yeah, so this ties into Helter Skelter, the Beatles, the Manson family. This like 2 lines. That's where all that context is.
Okay.
So that was interesting. I thought that was pretty cool.
Okay.
So back in Buffy's dorm, Buffy goes back in to face Riley, who was looking very nervous. And basically, I have to tell you something. And he's like, oh, here it comes. Here it comes. She's going to dump me.
Just get it over with.
Get it over with. If you're going to break my heart, like, please do it fast.
Do it now.
And she's like, what?
Yeah.
And he thinks that she slept with Angel. And she can't believe that he would think that. Of course she didn't. Like, that's not at all happening. And Riley says, I just kind of went crazy. I just went crazy, and, stuff happens between exes. And when I saw he was bad again...
Yeah. That's just Angel.
He's not bad. Right, this is a good day. This was a good day. He's not bad. No, he's not bad.
And then Riley admits that Xander told him about Buffy and Angel.
The trigger.
Buffy's like, Xander's the deadest man in Dead Zona. That was so funny.
And to be fair, Riley does. It wasn't his fault. Like I prodded, and he didn't know, and all of this. So I think that's all good. And so Buffy says, "Is there any reason that you haven't been able to trust me?" He says, "No." And she said, "Then what's all this?" And he says, "Because I'm so in love with you, I can't see straight." So remember he told it to Faith in Buffy's body, but he hasn't. He said, "I love you" when they were done doing it, but he's never said it again to her.
Didn't realize that. Okay.
Yeah. So he kind of, I think, was like, let's let this situation heal itself before I say I'm in love with you or her again. Even though he waited for another situation, which, whatever. Anyway. So he says he loves her, and she says, tell me about it. So she's basically saying, I love you too. So we're in love with each other, and then they hug.
And then she tells him that Forrest died.
And by the way, I have some bad news for you.
And then he has to leave.
Forrest is dead. There was a fight. Adam killed him. And, of course, that's Riley's best friend.
Yeah.
So he is upset. He's very upset and just leaves. So at Giles, they are still trying to decrypt the discs to see what's on there. And Buffy is like, everyone's there now. And Buffy just is like, okay, we're running out of time. We have to go find Adam. And I want to go, I'm going to go alone. I'm going to go back to that cave maybe because that was probably significant to him in some way.
But everybody's like snippy. Giles is drunk.
Very drunk. And basically, Willow and Xander are annoyed that they can't go with her, and she's like, "You'll just get hurt." And they're, "Oh, well, you don't need us." And it just snowballs.
It does, yeah.
It just snowballs of like them not needing each other, and then it starts accusing each other of all the stuff that Spike said that they said about each other, and it gets really ugly. And I also like when Giles says, "You haven't trained with me in a long time. He'll kick your ass." All drunk. Are you drunk?
Giles was funny drunk.
Giles was really funny in this episode. And he falls off the chair. He's like, I want to see this fight. And he like, falls off the chair. He misses the chair completely. And we quickly go to the bathroom where Anya and Tara, like, boop, 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 like, excuse themselves from the situation. They're waiting. They can hear the fighting outside, and they're just waiting in the bathroom until it stops.
And you can overhear something about an umbilical cord between Xander and Anya. Damn.
Yeah, that was Willow telling Xander that. So it's just all...
Yep.
It's all
and
coming
Buffy's
out.
like, what happened today? And Willow's like, it's not just today, which is true. Like,
yeah, it is.
They've been drifting a while now. Buffy's been unavailable. And like, what does she really expect?
Yeah. So Buffy's been off on her own thing. Like I said, Buffy can be very self-absorbed.
She can
and this
be.
is another, this season very much so. And Giles says, I'm going to bed. So he like drunkenly goes up the stairs, because he has like a loft. So he like throws his like sweater down and it lands on Xander's head. Xander pulls it off and he just doesn't even acknowledge it really. He just keeps fighting with them. So they're all just going at each other. And this is where Willow says, you couldn't handle that Tara's my girlfriend. And no one else had known that. She only told Buffy. So Xander's like, what? And then you hear Giles from upstairs, bloody hell. So funny. This is great. So great. And everybody's shocked by that because no one else had said. And Buffy's like, had enough now. She has had enough. Yeah. How can you help me? Like, we all can, like, go in there sniping at each other with the funny drunk drooling on my shoe. And, like, what good is that going to do? Like, you didn't tell me. Yeah. And so that, like, stops them and everybody's quiet. And then she says something that's really interesting, like, serious, which is, I'm starting to understand why there's no ancient prophecy about a chosen one and her friends.
Yep. That's...
Yeah. Kind of and it says, if I need help, I'll go to someone I can count on, and leaves. Yeah. So, really left on a really, really bad note.
Yeah, that was...
Like a friendship ending note, with some people. So, we'll see.
So, at Adam's lair, Adam's like, I've been waiting for you.
I forgot to mention, because when Spike was talking about the Helter Skelter thing and the Beatles thing, he said, like, here you have everything now, like, and he's like, I need one more thing. And that's what this scene is. So,
okay.
Yeah.
So at Adam's lair, Adam's like, I've been waiting for you. And what do we see? But Riley's like, and now I'm here. What the fork is happening?
I'm sure you were shocked.
I was completely shocked. I was like, what is this?
I think the first time I would have watched this, I would have been like, okay, like, Forrest had just found out he just found out Forrest was dead. He's going to, like, a suicide mission because he wants to avenge his friend.
But that's not Riley.
No.
No, it's not his style. So no, that's not what I was thinking.
Cliffhanger, Riley shows up. Okay, so my favorite quote was when they were all fighting, and Buffy says, I think Willow says that Buffy was judgmental, and she says, if I was any more open-minded about the choices that you two make, my whole brain would fall out. I love that line. I've always remembered that line. And then my favorite scene, obviously, that fight scene with all of them was like so well done. There was so much involved. Giles was so funny in the midst of like all of them just ripping each other to shreds. We haven't seen anything like this since that welcome back party for Buffy between them in season 3.
Oh yeah, okay.
When they all just came at Buffy, but now they're all like really going at each other. So yeah, definitely that end fight scene.
Okay. I feel like I had more than one favorite quote. Let me see. Yep, and 2. Okay, so the one I already mentioned actually was, if I see one more display of testosterone poisoning, I will personally put you both in the hospital. And then this one, which we didn't mention. So when they're all in that last scene, which by the way is also my favorite scene, when they're all like kind of fighting at each other, I think Xander at some point asks Buffy where's Riley, or like what's going on with Riley, or somebody asks her, and then like she's like, oh, he's whatever, like he can't come right now. And then I think Xander says, oh, he must be doing sit-ups at Fort Dix. And Giles, the way he laughs was so funny. I was like, oh, wow.
I think, if I remember correctly...
more about Giles' laughter than the actual one.
Yeah, he's like, Fort Dix! Like, yeah, he's really immatured with all this alcohol.
That was really funny.
I think, if I remember correctly, it was Xander referencing him going into the army.
Right.
Himself going into the army, I think, is when he said that. But,
okay.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of military stuff.
Sometimes I just like write stuff down and then I don't remember exactly.
I've seen this episode like 25 times, so, don't worry about it.
All I wrote was like, be drunk, doing sit-ups at Fort Dix, she laughs.
Yeah. Oh, no, I'm like the same, but I've just seen it so many times. Okay, so my stake rating was a 4.9.
Oh, wow. Okay, generous.
I really liked Spike in this episode. He was really clever.
Yeah.
And he just, again, like, it's a very consistent thing with his character that he's very emotionally intelligent. And he saw when Willow wasn't doing well, and they're all like, she's going good with Oz. And then something blue happened. And like, that was in something blue. And he just can see when people are suffering, when other people aren't seeing it, or relationships. He can just see all this stuff. He can see through people very well. So I just thought that was something that's already been established if you're paying attention to the show. And then he really put it to work in this episode to like break them apart. And also, like, I'm glad they had this big fight, because this was the fight that's been coming for most of the season, I feel like. Actually, yes, all the whole season, because Xander has been feeling left behind since they started college. So this has been brewing and brewing and brewing the entire season. Mm-hmm. And they've been drifting more apart and more apart the whole season. Willow's had her, like, storyline with Tara and Magic. Xander is with, like, Anya and trying to, like, find a job and, like, find himself.
He keeps having these jobs and nothing's really working out. Like,
yeah, he's struggling to find himself outside of college. And then Buffy, obviously, Riley and the Initiative. So they, like, kind of are having, like, 3 separate stories. Giles is, like, very much looking for an identity and struggling with it.
And he's getting, I feel like, more and more out of the loop with things.
Yeah. So they all are kind of going their paths cross, but they've had very, like, different paths this season. And so, like, this was very much coming to a head. So, you know what? Thanks, Spike. Because they probably all would have been like, rug, brush for who knows how long. So, Spike did them a favor, I think. And then I think killing Forrest ups the stakes for about what's going on with Adam. Because Forrest has, since Maggie, which was a while ago, he hasn't really killed anybody important.
Yeah, that's true.
So I think this has upped the stakes that, like, a main character of this season, like, was killed by Adam. So I think that was well done. That's it.
Okay. Yes, I also I gave it a 4.7.
Okay.
I also liked the way that Spike just kind of stirred shit up and just made everybody, like, kind of think about things, and maybe they need to reevaluate some things, about their friendship. They needed to communicate. I also really liked how they They did kind of bring Angel back in.
Oh yeah, I didn't even mention that.
I liked how they brought him back in, and I guess they caught up their loose ends or whatever. I don't know. I feel like they got closure. Who knows what? So I guess that was good. Yeah, other than that, just yeah, very funny Giles-centric episode. I enjoyed that a lot.
Yeah, Giles was cracking me up the whole time.
Yeah.
He was the comedic relief in the whole thing.
Yeah, and just yeah, those more tidbits of Adam, just kind of like he's giving us more breadcrumbs. Like I felt like when I was watching this episode, I was kind of like, what is he doing exactly?
Yeah, you don't know what his end game is.
No,
really, clearly.
Yeah, so we keep getting those little breadcrumbs. And
yeah,
I'm just
it's like a puzzle. There's big gaping holes in the puzzle.
I feel like exactly. Like I feel like we're getting all these little pieces, and we have been for the whole season. But I'm still kind of like, what? And like they're showing him more and more, so I'm like, something is gonna happen, obviously.
Yeah, we're nearing the end of the season, so he's getting serious.
Have my curiosity.
Yeah. Okay, so the next episode is Primeval, and should I even ask you a question since you've already seen it?
Sure, let's ask the question.
Okay.
What was the question going to be? I'm curious.
What happens when Adam shoots bullets at Buffy? There are 2 acceptable answers.
There are 2 acceptable answers. She repels them. Is that an acceptable answer?
Okay. Sure. Yeah.
Are there not 3 acceptable answers?
That's very vague, but yes. Yeah. Okay, we'll take it.
I'm trying to think of what my answer would have been before watching the episode. Something like she avoids them, or she ducks, or she I don't know, she doesn't get hit. Something.
Yeah. Okay. All right.
Obviously, she can't die. So
that wraps up season 4, episode 20, The Yoko Factor. Again, you can find us on all major podcast apps and YouTube and Instagram at One Girl and All the World Pod. You can also email us at onegirlpod@gmail.com. Thanks for joining us, and we'll be back next week with season 4, episode 21, Primeval. Slay your old tune.
bye.